Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Kenneth Ogbebo here, and I just wanted to share some thoughts I have turned over for a few days, and it's quite a long story, but I'll tell it in a very short span of time. There's a time I called myself an incurable optimist, thinking about Nigeria. Yes, I was a lot younger, and in spite of the challenges and how things looked or in what direction they were going, I called myself an incurable optimist. Fast forward 15 years down the road, and suddenly I became a pessimist because of the things that were around. And it actually got to a point that I can clearly say it, and I said to people that giving up on Nigeria. I actually said to people I stopped praying for Nigeria, and my cop out then was that I prayed for Nigerians, because my thinking was that Nigeria was this entity, kind of an amorphous entity, but the character of the entity, the experience of the entity was about the Nigerians who lived in the geographical enclave. So I said to myself, okay, I only pray for Nigerians, because if Nigerians get better, Nigeria will get better. Then it actually went worse than that. There's actually a point in time that I just gave up, and I said this to everybody, that Nigeria will not get better. Looking at the indices, looking at that trajectory, looking at the people in the corridors of power, and looking at the people waiting on the wings, I just thought Nigeria was never going to get better. Then I went on to a point in time where I said, okay, Nigeria was not going to get better in my lifetime. I think that realization pushed me further to get to a point where I have a new faith. And imagine that the same person who had given up on Nigeria telling you that Nigeria is going to get better, but maybe not in my lifetime. And where did that faith come from? I remember reading Hebrews 11, talking about the people we call the heroes of faith. And the Bible said, these all died in faith, not having received the promises. So I realized that, living a hopeless life is actually not the way to live. This is a work of faith. And so, yes, we are going to keep the faith alive till we die. We'll faith it till we die. We're going to faith a better Nigeria till we die. And because I had wondered, why do people still confess that Nigeria is going to get better in spite of how it's looking? Maybe before some people's grave, they are 70, 80, 90, they still have hope Nigeria is going to get better. And I realized that it depends on the time horizon that you are planning or working with. If you are thinking the next 1 year, the next 6 months, or you are even looking at the past, you're actually going to look at our trajectory and think that it's never going to get better. But hey, let's stretch time. Let's stretch time. Maybe another 5 years, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200 years, and I can tell you that Nigeria is going to get better. So I would rather live expecting that Nigeria is going to get better and die still hoping that Nigeria, I'm faithing and believing that Nigeria will get better. So that even if it doesn't get better in my lifetime, maybe it will get better in the lifetime of my children. Maybe it will get better in the lifetime of my grandchildren. Maybe it will get better in the life of my great-grandchildren. I don't know how many generations down the road, but Nigeria is going to get better. See, I tell you the truth. We've been drawn beyond, maybe we are close to elastic limit, and something is going to give. You can't subject to a system to this level of torture, trauma, and abuse, and something doesn't snap. Nigeria is going to snap. I wish there will be no violent revolution because we can't control it. But trust me, something is going to give. Peaceful, violent, something is going to give. I hope it's peaceful. And Nigeria is going to turn the corner and get better from there. It might look like things are getting worse. Like somebody would say, getting worse. Things are getting worse. You look at the trajectory, you look at the debt, you look at the economy, you look at the people. Somebody talked about the load uprising, where education is relegated to the background, and foolishness and empty barrels are up on stage. Nigeria is still going to get better. We're going to take our pride of place. Maybe not in my generation, and I can tell you that. And I'm okay. Sorry, I'm okay. Yes, that maybe it won't get better in my generation. Maybe it won't get better in the next generation, but Nigeria is going to get better. You see this Japa syndrome? Some people are going to come back. Maybe it's the 4th, 5th, or 10th generations of Nigerians that have left. They are going to come back to Nigeria. Nigeria is going to get better. Let's change our time horizon. If you are not thinking of just the next 10 years or your next meal or the next 20 years, then you can agree that Nigeria is going to get better. So I'll leave you with this word of hope, word of faith, word of encouragement. Don't give up on Nigeria. It doesn't matter how bad it is. You know, when Joseph was dying in Egypt, he said to them, when you guys leave here, take my bones out of here. He knew they were going to live, but he knew he was going to die before the deliverance. Of course, it took 400 years. Imagine that time horizon. But did his bones go? Yes, his bones went. Israel left Egypt and Joseph's bone left with them. That's my kind of thinking for Nigeria. The valley may be very dry like Ezekiel saw. But if we keep speaking over that valley, you may not know where the wind will come from. You may not know where the rain will come from. But Nigeria is going to get better. It's Kenneth Ubebo here, and that's just my thought, and it's quite a better way to approach life. Living by faith in spite of the fear, in spite of what we see, that Nigeria is going to get better. Till some other time, stay blessed and stay hopeful, stay positive. Nigeria is going to get better. Bye.